Hi, my lovely, beautiful, divine twins. My name's Lenore, and I am your friendly twin flame guide and twin flame doula, threshold doula. What is a threshold doula? We'll talk about that very shortly, but please come in, take a seat, make a cup of tea, and today we're going to do some twin flame education. And then I'll pull a card or two because we all love a card. See what the energies are like today. But first I'm going to take a minute to tell you about me and what I do. I'm a twin flame, obviously. I'm the divine feminine polarity. There are a few different names for the polarities. It can be feminine masculine, can be positive negative, can be anode cathode, can be runner chaser, which is a very popular one. Just to make it simple and easy to follow, I'll either use runner chaser or feminine masculine. Okay, so I've been on this spiritual awakening, which is what the twin flame path is. It's an actual spiritual awakening. And I've been on this path for over 20 years. So, over 20 years, I have covered just about every scenario that's possible in the twin flame path. And I don't mean as in actual events, there are lots and lots of those as well, but I mean in terms of the human side of it, the spiritual side of it, the human emotions, feelings that go with twin flame, and then the really, really hard work to overcome that pain and agony and to come into the other side. So over that threshold of pain to the other side of joy, love, beauty. Still, human emotions and triggers still come up, but you learn to deal with them very quickly and very easily, and to be in love for most of the time, in love energy for most of the time. I'm also a best-selling author in an anthology, a book called Threshold Stories of Initiation. I'll put the link below if you want to purchase that. You can purchase a hard copy or the Kindle copy through Amazon. And my story is where I share a snippet of my journey that began in 2002. So after 21 years on this journey, as I said, I've probably covered most scenarios, and I just want to let you know that I'm still here and I'm still very much alive, and I have come through the other end, out the other side. So I feel like I'm a perfect messenger, really, because that's my mission, is to help other twin flames get through that pain and get into, essentially it's getting into self-love, and magnetizing your twin in. Like, I know that's everybody's goal and that's what will happen, but there's a very very simple yet very complex way of going about that, and it can be really, really hard to get yourself out of that pain, low vibrational energy, and come into probably come into self-love. Like, that's so overused, that term, but really that's what it takes. And it's hard work. It's not easy work to come into self-love. So because I have done that, and I have done some really hard work and been through some big stuff, I am perfectly placed to help other twins through. I've been a threshold doula for over 20 years, but in a different capacity. I was a midwife for a long time, so I assisted, facilitated, led new parents, birthing mothers especially, over that threshold of pain and fear of unknown into new parenthood. So I have a bit of an idea of how it all goes. I've also had my own children. The second one, I had no pain relief, so I felt that pain. So I just fully believe that twins need external support. So come and work with me and I will help you put one foot in front of the other. All right. So, as well as providing education on the incomprehensible spiritual pathless path that is twin flame, as I said, I'm a threshold doula, which means I have the keys to safely lead you over that threshold of pain and unstick you. So it's very easy to get stuck in the journey. Some people get stuck for years, decades. So I've got the tools and the key to help unstick you and allow you to keep going forward. I will very lovingly provoke you to take the leaps, constant leaps off the cliff until you see yourself in your absolute magnificence, sovereignty, being your own savior, basically. And when you can achieve that, that is when your twin starts to come in. So it's an energetic, like you've heard of the push-pull, so it's an energetic. Once you stop pushing, and we can push in ways that we don't even realize we're pushing. So once you completely come into your own magnificence, you'll just automatically stop pushing, and then the twin will stop running, and they'll start to come in out of it like an energetic curiosity almost. The magnet turns around, the magnet spins. So first the magnet repels you, like you have soul recognition, you're repelled like magnets, and then the magnets turn around and you come together, and nothing can stop you coming back together, but in a healing, loving space where you both support each other now in a different way. I believe that possibly not all twin flames are meant to come into union. There are some twin flames who are also soulmates. So once the twin flame contract has completed, then the soulmate contract starts. But it's high vibrational soulmate. So we'll talk in another video about soulmates and twin flames. So this video, we're going to talk about how to recognize your twin flame, what that might look like when you first encounter someone, and say 3-6 months or so down the path, what that will look like. So my website is in the box below, so you can contact me on my website, or you can contact me directly through my email, which is also down in the box below. So I appreciate all of you so much for being here, and let's get on with some educational content. So what would it look like when you meet your twin flame? So within your own life, it would most likely look like you have 90% of your life in order. So your career, your social life, your friends, your family, there's a stability, there's a contentedness, you have a contentedness with self. You may or may not be in another relationship, usually not, but you are very content with where you're at. Then you meet this person, you connect with this person. It could be in person. These days with technology, it's highly likely that you meet online. Could be through a dating website, could be at the pub with a bunch of friends, could be family friend, could be, someone who's just spontaneously come along to an event or a gathering of people who know each other, or so lots and lots of different scenarios basically. So all twin flames, there's a basic journey that all twin flames follow, but their stories are often very different, case by case basis. So you're drawn to this person, that is not typically your type of person, either in looks or behavior or whatever. You're just sort of drawn to them, and you might not even have that awareness that you're completely drawn to this person yet, but you're drawn to this person. They're not your usual type, they're drawn to you. Somehow, some way you keep in contact, you develop a relationship. This all happens very quickly. The physical draw is intense, as well as a spiritual draw, though you may not recognize that or know what that means at the time. And it can then start to represent a bit of a toxic love bombing situation, trauma bonding. If you don't know what they are, just have a look on Google. There's plenty of information on those things, but it essentially feels like an addiction has been created, a very fast addiction. And in my book, I actually describe my twin in the early days as being my heroine with cut glass. That's exactly what it felt like. So you typically will have a short romance, maybe 3 weeks, maybe 3 months, something like that. And then at some point there, your souls recognize each other. So your vibrations are exactly the same. You come closer, 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 and then you clash. Soul recognition, you clash, you fall apart. And then the push and the pull energy, or the masculine, feminine, runner, chaser, is created. And we'll talk about that energy a bit different, but at the moment we're just talking about how to recognize that someone is your twin flame. So what that means is that your relationship ends, you try to move on, you've had other relationships before, you know how to move on, you know there's an initial sting, but this one's only been very short. It's only been a few weeks, it's only been a few months. It should be easy to move on, so you attempt to move on, but you can't. And that person can't either. Even though they keep rejecting you and pushing you away, they can't let you go. And they keep coming back. And this dance, it's an energetic dance. And each time that happens, it doesn't feel like it, but that is forward movement. But each time that happens, it creates more and more pain, especially for the feminine polarity, the chaser. We'll talk about the runner another time, but the chaser definitely feels a lot of pain. You'll also have some crazy similarities, so you'll be getting to know this person. There'll be things like your birthday is the same as one of their close family members. You may be born on the same ley lines, which is spiritual lines on the earth. So for example, my twin and I are both Indigenous to separate countries, different countries. We both had really the same hobby as teenagers, which was kind of an unusual hobby. It wasn't common at all. Our names both were chosen from literature, so literary names that our parents named us after. All sorts of crazy similarities. And that's because as two soul fractals, you're the most deeply aligned vibrationally than any other two fractals, so your lives will take similar paths. The other really important thing about twins is that they have both suffered significant childhood trauma. It might not be exactly the same traumas, but they'll be quite similar, and they will have had a very similar effect on your psyche, your subconscious patterning, your subconscious messages that you keep telling yourself over and over again. Negative ones, negative patterns of behavior, etc., etc. What I do want to say is, even though your relationship with your twin is very painful, like initially, very painful, toxicity involved, they're not abusive, and they're not violent towards you. So when you meet your twin, the Kundalini awakening is supercharged. So it's like nothing you've ever felt, and what that means is that all the cells in your body, all the energy centers in your body have been blown open and apart, and could be over functioning, could be way too open. And so all your feelings, reactions, desires, etc. are disproportionate. But your life force, a different life force, has really opened up. The physical pull to your twin is often insatiable, and that often happens with twins who, when they meet, they're relatively quite unhealed. And the reason that pull is so strong is because when you're creating that third intimate energy, there's no ego. And when there's no ego, there's peace. Ego meaning pain body. So when there's no ego, there is peace, there is calm, there is, it's like taking a drug, all your worries disappear. So that's why that intense sexual energy is really addictive. So part of my job is to get you to the other side of that intense energy without it being damaging and toxic to your own spiritual health and well-being. Some will say that you feel like you've known this person in a past life, or you've met them before, or you have a deep recognition of them. It depends on how spiritually aware you are at the time of meeting them. That might not be a thing for you, but there will be that draw. Like you'll be really drawn to them. You can't keep away. You can't stop thinking about them. For me, it was less obvious because even though I've always had an insatiable interest in the occult and been to psychics, etc., I'd never actually taken it on for myself. Starting to develop those things in myself, and recognize those things in myself. So I think that's why that was not as obvious. So it was more subtle for me. Just reading my notes. Oh, now the final really good indicator, I think, that you've met your twin flame, which is not obvious at first and won't be obvious until you start your own intentional healing journey, is that as you heal, they heal as well. But it's not always in direct correlation to you. You as a feminine, you will think, I know what my twin needs to do. I know what their wounds are. They need to do this, this, and this. But actually, we'll talk about mirroring another time too. Actually, it's you that needs to do it. Yes, they might too. They have to, because they've got their wounds as well. But the only way to get them onto their healing journey is for you to get onto your healing journey, because it's energetic. As you start to heal and ascend, they start to come up as well. But they don't always come up in the way that you think they should, and their healing doesn't always look how you think it should look or how yours looked. And the outcome of their healing isn't always what you expect it to be. So the best thing for you to do is focus on yourself. And that's what my coaching will help you to do. Yeah, it will help you to strip away your own conditioning, your own negative self-beliefs. And that's a huge part of the healing. And it's the dirty part, it's a really uncomfortable part. It's not the nice, fluffy, spiritual fluff, which is good. I think there's definitely a place for that. But it needs to be in conjunction with doing the dirty work. Okay, so I think I've covered a lot of stuff. If you have any questions or any comments, I would love for you to comment below. Can you please like this video and subscribe and even make a comment, just so that I really, really feel like I'm one of the best people placed to help twins in a practical sense and in a practical sense then is also in a spiritual sense, but to help them get through that pain, ascend, and start magnetizing their twin back in a healthy way, because that is what is needed to raise your vibration even further. It's a different energy once you and your twin are together, and that's the energy we need to help raise the vibration. So come and work with me. We can have a conversation, a free 20-minute conversation about your journey and where to go from there. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say. So I just started shuffling, and 2 cards came out. The attachment card. So I think this is very relevant to what I was just talking about in terms of the early days of the twin flame path, when you feel extremely attached to your twin. I've been through everything, so there's absolutely no judgment from me about where and what you're at on your path, and the low vibration you can reach, the thoughts, the feelings, the lashing out. You know, there's nothing that you can tell me that you've done that I haven't done, I'm sure. So, and that's what attachment is about. So when you're attached, attachment is low vibrational. When you're attached, that's when all your low vibrational behaviors come in. So I reckon we move into detachment. So I think what the energy is doing now is encouraging you to detach. And this is the other card that fell out. So it's the second chakra card, which is the sacral. And funnily enough, sacral is where we hold a lot of trauma, childhood trauma. So I think the energy today for the Divine Feminines is saying, work on your sacral chakra, work on your childhood traumas, recognize what those traumas are doing for you in your life today. As you work on those, as you heal those, you release attachment. I think that's it for today. Thank you for joining me. Remember, like, subscribe, comment, please. And I would love to hear from you, and come and join my 3-month program. It's in 6 parts, goes for 3 months initially, and it will get you well and truly on your path to seeing your own magnificence and your twin zooming back in. Bye.